Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Jay Winokur. Today, we're going to be doing a new top five for our favorite fast jets in the sim. We did one back in early to mid 2020, 2022, and I feel like now is the time to redo it because we've had some additions, some subtractions. I'm going to change the criteria a little bit, kind of refine it based on quality and a few other things. Additionally, a lot of these aircraft have received updates and gotten better over time. Some have not. Some have received updates and gotten worse. So let's get right into it. Number one, without question, is the India Fox Echo F-35 Lightning II, or colloquially known in service as Fat Amy, or the Panther, because 50% of the time it works every time. It's not a good thing, by the way. So the F-35 here came out from India Fox. Release date was January 4th, 2022. So that was actually pretty early on in the life cycle when we did our last video. And now it has received several updates and upgrades, including its own proprietary flight model, not utilizing Asobo's absolutely broken fly-by-wire, which they refused to fix, sadly. So this aircraft now, you've still got the three variants. You've got the A, the B, and the C. The B is a vertical takeoff version with the fan in the center, and the C is the U.S. Navy aircraft carrier variant. So with those variants, you get a lot of features now. The PCD, the glass cockpit in here, full glass, has additional features now, including a terrain following map from up top. You've got a forward-looking infrared camera along with a color view of that same camera. You have a lot more screens in here now that they've added. You have a lot more color control for your cockpit. I should say lighting control. You can control more with the brightness settings. That was very much appreciated. You also have some weapons presets you can put on the aircraft. Obviously, this is not a combat sim, but if you want to fly with weapons, they have some presets you can click through in the menu now. Um, yeah, overall, it's gotten a lot better over time. Not that it was bad to begin with, but I think it's gotten significantly better. It also has its own HMD now, which you can look around and see, and it'll disappear once you look straight at the center. So that is undisputed number one. They've also added a significant amount of liveries to the aircraft over time. That's very much appreciated. Number two, this is going to be two different aircraft, but they're essentially the same thing, just a different variant. So the FR-104G, or just F-104 Starfighter. They also have a trainer variant, the TF-104, that came out earlier than the single-seater did, but they're both very, very well done. This aircraft has gotten better over time too. It's we're at version 1.3.6 now. It just received an update not that long ago, maybe a month and a half to 2 months ago, and it fixed a lot of the things that sim updates had broken, like fuel systems and such. So now it's got all of its power back. But it's going to be number two in this list. It also has, as you can see in this photo, the functioning radar, and it has different modes. You can have a terrain following radar, have an air-to-air radar, terrain mapped radar. There's a lot of different functionality with that radar system, and it does work. The only downside of that radar is it requires an external program to be ran on your computer. So if you're going to be on some of the other um, buying methods, I buy most all of my add-ons through Orbex. That's why we're using them today. It's going to be harder to get to that, or if you're on, I'm not sure if this is on Xbox or not. I don't fly Xbox, but if it is, you probably wouldn't be able to have that running either. There's some downsides there. But overall, this is I think as far as jets go right now, this is as close to study level as you're going to get because you have to align the INS. Otherwise, it's not going to fly right. You cannot control this. The knee board in here, which I've always spoken very highly of, that's how you fill up your fuel. That's how you start the aircraft. There's maps in there. There's checklists in there. So far as details go, it's right up there at the top. Number three, another India Fox Deco product, the M346. So the M346 is a trainer aircraft used by primarily by the Italian Air Force, but it's also used by a number of other countries. So it's actually, I'm not sure if it's still in the running, but the U.S. Navy was trying to replace the T-45, and this was potentially one of the candidates for it. I really enjoy this aircraft. It is not a dedicated supersonic aircraft. It's very high subsonic. If you're industrious enough, you can get it to, you can push it past the sound barrier because I've done it. But you're not going to be able to sustain that. You're going to barely push past it on the deck. Get Mach 1.01, but that's it. That's your max, and the jet's yelling at you the whole time. The two-seat aircraft, you've got a trainer position in the back, your pilot's position in the front. It has several radar modes in here, which India Fox seems to be kind of pioneering getting more of that into the sim. Autopilot's awesome, a lot of different modes. It can be a little complicated. I've seen some people with some complaints about it, but if you know what you're doing, you'll be just fine. It just takes a little bit of learning, and you'll be good. It's got a very, very comprehensive avionics package as well. I really enjoy everything about it. There's two variants with this now. So in this launch, there's only one. It was the M346, the trainer version, and they had the, I don't know if it's in any of these screenshots, but they had smoke winders, like sidewinders that would produce smoke for aerobatic displays on the wingtips. But they're contracted with Leonardo to make this as accurate as possible. And Leonardo said, our trainer version cannot house those. So they actually went ahead and made a fighter attack variant, which is a real variant, and put those on there instead. So now you're actually getting an additional aircraft. You're getting two for the price of one, really. So yeah, good quality, good workmanship all around, very detailed. There's a lot of switches in here. Like you have to activate the oxygen system too. You have to pull the pins from the seat. So really, really detailed model and flight model. Number 4, another India Fox product. They really do some of the best stuff. The MB339. This is another kind of a trainer aircraft. It's also used by quite a few countries in their aerobatic demonstration teams. This is a very, very analog product. So I guess if that's not your thing, be prepared for that. But the kind of along the lines of that F104, right? It's a very analog airframe. You got to know how to read headings and stuff like that, unless you're using an external app to track your flight progress. This is a very detailed aircraft. It just got a an update for the anniversary of the Italian Air Force. They had a lot of functionality to it. They kind of remastered it a little bit. You got some special liveries that are real world liveries that the Italian Air Force used for the anniversary. So I'd say that's overall very, very good value. India Fox has always been good at having reasonable price points on their products too. You can see here, depending on what country you're in, for the US, this is $24, and that's a very fair price point. Very detailed, flown by a lot of people in the sim, very popular. Number 5, one that a lot of people may not even really know about because it's a very small developer. This might be controversial a little too. The F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter. It was more of a bomber. This didn't have any air-to-air capabilities whatsoever. They just called it a fighter because they knew no fighter pilot wanted to fly a bomber per se. So a couple of downsides, and this is why it's at number 5. So it is all pretty much copy paste Hornet avionics from the stock Super Hornet in the sim, which take that for what it is. But this aircraft in real life did have quite a bit of Hornet avionic in it. The first variant of this aircraft, which is in the Air Force Museum, was all analog. Imagine how bad that would be in an aircraft like this. So they had to figure something out. We got Hornet avionics in it. You've got your working center screen now. It's not on in this photo. This is an early photo, but it has since been patched, and this does work. So you'll actually get a photo out of there. This would have been used for them to designate their targets. So it's good to have. It additionally has, let's see if I get any screenshots of it. Sorry about that. Throat was getting dry. It does have, in this photo, you can see it's got a fuel tank there, but the developer's Discord does have weaponry. So you've got your classic laser guided bombs, which were the hallmark of this aircraft during its entire service life. You could even put some JDAMs in there, I believe. But yeah, if you buy this through Orbex, I'm not sure if it comes with it, but I know you bought through Marketplace, regardless if you bought through Marketplace or Orbex. You go into the developer's Discord, Aerial Simulations, he does have a little file which will add guided bombs to the bomb bay, and you can release those. So I think that's a nice little detail there. The lighting in this thing, internally and externally, is freaking immaculate. I really love it. There's a lot of depth in this aircraft so far as what he has modeled. He provides you a fair amount of liveries. One of the few aircraft with actual weapons release, so I definitely appreciate that. So there's the top 5. We're not going to give any honorable mentions this time. We had the MiG 21 as your honorable mention the last time, but this has not been updated in a very long time. It's very disappointing for me because I really wanted to love this, but the weak points that we discussed the last time never got any love, so I can't put it anywhere on the list. So on to the elephant in the room. Why isn't DC Designs on this list? So in my opinion, apart from the Eurofighter Typhoon, every one of his aircraft still has copy-pasted Hornet avionics in it, including the F-14, which the F-14 did not have that in its cockpit at any point in its life. We're going to talk about a Super Tomcat. That's a totally different story. We do not have one of those in that package. We got an A and a B, and in my opinion, those have gotten worse over time. He did rework them, but it's now a 10G aircraft. Can't explain that at all. It also had fly-by-wire in it, which the Tomcat never had a fly-by-wire system. It was an analog aircraft designed during the Vietnam War and came into service at the very, very end of that conflict. It only saw service during the evacuation of the fall of Saigon, basically. So, not a lot there. He also has teams of his fans that go into other discords and bully people. There were quite a few of them in the India Fox Discord recently, and they're not there anymore. I believe that they left the Discord, but I just can't, in good conscience, put a developer that allows people to do that on their own name anywhere on a list. I just can't, Value of the aircraft aside, your reputation is what makes you. And no matter if you make something good or not, if your reputation is terrible and you sanction that kind of behavior, I can't put you anywhere on this list. So we'll end on that note. I will have some more videos coming. I'm working on a couple of other things. Still keeping my ear to the ground on the 2024 rumblings. I haven't heard much else. I know Murph talked a little bit about it on his stream yesterday. Go ahead and check that out. He had a couple of people on that were talking about it. I missed a fair bit of it. But yeah, thanks for joining me today, guys, and we'll catch you next time.